Excellent. Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome. This is the very first episode of 2025 of Words Friends. I am your host this evening, Sara Matson. Hello. Welcome. I am super thrilled tonight because we not only have incredible writers and from across the country, but literally from across the world. So that's super exciting, and I'm really thrilled. I started this reading series because poetry and writing really is my passion and my obsession, and being connected with words and writers is just a constant source of inspiration to me. So thank you so much for making that possible. Amazing audience, when you love what you hear tonight, because I know you will, please consider supporting the writers by purchasing their books, subscribing to their Substacks, following and sharing their work on social media. I'm going to be including links to authors' books and websites in the chat here, and also in the description of this video. So let me get to tonight's lineup. Reading tonight, we have the phenomenal Moira Walsh, Julián Martinez, Joaquin Fernandez, Kristin Garth, and Benjamin Niespodziany. What a lineup! Unfortunately, due to really crummy weather on the West Coast, Temple Lovely won't be able to join us this evening, but hopefully they'll be able to be on a future episode of Words and Friends, so sending them lots of good vibes. Please be safe, Temple. Before we jump in, I just want to thank Tom Snarsky real quick for introducing me to the wonderful Moira Walsh and her work via his reading series, Nightlight. Tom's amazing books, Reclaimed Water, Light Up Swan, and Complete Sentences are all available now. And you can find more about what Tom's doing at his Linktree, linktr.ee/Tom Snarsky. I also really want to thank all our fabulous readers tonight for their time and energy and being here. I really appreciate y'all. And thanks to the audience that's joining us live right now. Or if you're watching this recording on YouTube, thank you so much for being here as well. It's such a joy that I have some besties in person and online besties in here tonight. I really appreciate you. Poetry, flash fiction, prose, microfiction, creative nonfiction, experiential words, they're all incredibly important. And I really believe that our voices are strength and resistance. And this world is really profoundly in need of some compassion and empathy and joy. So I'm really honored to share space with you tonight. So let's hear some fantastic words. Our first amazing reader this evening comes to us live from Germany. Like I mentioned earlier, I first heard Moira's work on an episode of Tom Snarsky's Nightlight, and I was immediately drawn to her perspective, her voice, and her decentralized observations. Michigan-born Moira Walsh makes her home in southern Germany. Recent poetry chapbooks include Earthrise and With Wilfried Schubert. Do try this at home. Read more and get in touch with Moira at her Linktree, linktr.ee/Moira Walsh. Please, everyone, join me in welcoming Moira Walsh.
Hello, and thank you, Sara. It's great to be here. I apologize for any type of bed hair or rings under my eyes. It is 2:11 a.m. on a, what day is it? I don't even know what day it is. Wednesday. It's 2:11 on a Wednesday. And so I'm coming to you from the future. I'm very excited to read some poems, and I've collaborated with my handy home printer on the set list because I was printing poems right up until the moment the waiting room opened. So here we go. I've picked out 10 from my upcoming manuscript, little self-promo, which is still looking for a publisher. The upcoming manuscript, entitled Friend Abyss, is my first full length, if the poetry gods so wish. And I've picked 10 of my favorites from that manuscript. Some are new, some are old, some are published, some are not. I'll leave that up to the audience to decide if that's even important. I won't be mentioning which ones are which. And they kind of have a spring theme or a late winter theme. The first one is about February, very short. And thank you for being here and listening, making space for poetry. And Sarah, thanks for your invite. It came at a really low point in my life, and it was a joy to receive. Gentler than noise, but equally insistent. Wake up. Unfiltered February sun. Ingress. The downstairs neighbors are getting their door drilled open. It's a difficult lock, or perhaps an especially secure frame. The professional burglar has been at it for headache minutes. The drill yells, metal, challenging metal. What part of this reminds me of forgetting a key inside? And oh, the effort, the noise, the commotion of reclaiming access. Nightshade at noon. Heirloom beefsteak depression. Meaty, cracked, and big as a sandwich. You don't need a buzz, milady. Take a rest already. Meaty, cracked, and big as a sandwich in the weedy fields. Take a rest already. Tuneless gravity hums in the grass, tomato fields. Fatigue spreads like oil on paper. Human gravity hums. It's a sweaty September. Fatigue spreads like oil. On paper, family history of depression. It's a sweaty, sweet September. You don't need a buzz, milady. What to do if you are swept away? Water, of its own accord, never flows straight. The riptide will not carry you clear to nowhere. At some intrinsic limit, it will curve ever so gradually back to shore, depositing you on the same beach, although, of course, not the same. Yes, that's from growing up in Michigan, knowing about riptides and trying to remind myself before I get panicked. And here's a very short one to a dear poet friend, my co-author of the latest chapbook, Wilfried Schubert, and it's super short. It's a title and a line, so don't blink and you'll miss it. Dream transcription. The weather between us was warm. And this is another poem for a friend who is no longer living, Christopher McMullen Laird, and his death anniversary is coming up this June. It's going to be 5 years. And this is a longer poem called Permutation to be read aloud. And I don't know if I've ever read it aloud to an audience. I've read it aloud to myself and to him, wherever he may be, but not to an audience, I don't believe. So as I said, this may be a bit longer than I'm used to writing and definitely longer than I'm used to reading. It's called Permutation to be read aloud. I think I said that already. I'll say it again, 3 times the charm. Permutation to be read aloud for Christopher. Pale gray, dense fog rolls back over me. Sudden, death pulls, necklace of farewells, and all charm-wise bounding you appear, still here, still gone, mixed tick signals as we were wont, soaking in the springs. Pale gray death pulls, bounding you appear, sudden charm-wise, mixed tick signals, and all still gone, soaking in the springs. Still here, were want, rolls back over me, as we dense fog necklace of farewells. Pale gray, charm-wise, soaking in the springs, sudden, still gone, rolls back over me, and all were want necklace of farewells. Still here, dense fog, bounding, you appear, as we death pulls mixed tick signals. Pale gray, still gone, necklace of farewells, sudden were want bounding, you appear, and all dense fog mixed tick signals. Still here, death pulls, soaking in the springs, as we charm-wise rolls back over me. Pale gray, were want, mixed tick signals, sudden dense fog soaking in the springs, and all death pulls rolls back over me. Still here, charm-wise, necklace of farewells, as we still gone, bounding you appear. I feel like as a poet, I'm often speaking with friends, even if they're not present, even if they may not hear me. Definitely when I'm writing, I'm conversing with people, real people, some of whom I have not met, some of whom I call friends beyond the grave, because I've not crossed lifetimes with them. But yeah, I feel like I'm never a solo artist. I'm always in conversation, and part of that is then bringing it full circle when I'm allowed to read, invited to read, or make space for myself to read, wake myself in the middle of the night to read. Yes, at this point, I'd also like to thank Tom Snarsky for starting this whole process last August, when I was part of a lineup on Nightlight Poems. It hasn't been such a spring lineup, but here's a spring poem. This one is for one of those friends beyond the grave, Paul Celan. I've never met him. We didn't cross lifetimes, but I do feel like I'm in conversation with him. I don't want that to sound arrogant, but that's how I feel. And this one is for him, but it's called Per Sister. Go figure. Poetry is a crazy world. Per Sister, for Paul Celan. Long years, long thaw. Tomorrow buds, earth under, sky adrift, soil bereft, soul adrip, snowdrop. I'll read that one again. I used the word soul in a poem. I feel so radical. I feel so radical. Per Sister. Long years, long thaw. Tomorrow buds, earth under, sky adrift. Soil bereft, soul adrip, snowdrop. And I'm coming up on my last 3 poems. Thank you for listening. This is a great, great atmosphere. I love being on Zoom, and I love reading with poets and friends, and with such a good audience. Pika Pika, the magpie. I want every day to be festival. You say it's simply impossible to build a nest out of sparks. I'll read that one again too. Pika Pika, the magpie. I want every day to be festival. You say it's simply impossible to build a nest out of sparks. Fat cat fatigue sits on my chest. This one's for Sarah and her cats. Rationale is the title. Rationale. Fat cat fatigue sits on my chest. I have a few hours of daylight. Poetry wins every time. And my last poem for the evening. This is an abecedarian. Some of you may have participated in a recent Poem of the Month competition, abecedarian. This is one from, oh, I said I wouldn't say that, but I'm going to say it anyway. This one is from my chapbook Earthrise, and it's a ZXY variant because it starts with Z and goes backwards to A. ZYX variant. Yeah, I'm making up words as I go. Learning from trees. Dip your xylem well. Visit unease. Tasty sugars raise questions. Phloem owes no meander. Lame knock jokes invite hoarfrost groans. Feign early death. Come back again. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, audience. Thank you, fellow poets.
Thank you so much, Moira. Everyone, you just heard the incredible work of Moira Walsh. Please do investigate her amazing book, Earthrise, and also do try this at home. You can find Moira at linktr.ee/MOIRAWALSH. Thank you so very much. That was really beautiful. Wonderful. What a great way to start the evening, y'all. I'm feeling great, and I'm so excited to introduce our next reader, the fabulous Julián Martinez. Julián Martinez, he, him, is the son of Mexican and Cuban immigrants and is from Waukegan, Illinois. He is the author of the poetry chapbook, This Place is Covered Head to Toe in Shit, Ghost City Press 2024. His work has been published in Had, Hooligan Mag, Little Engines, and elsewhere. Find him at martinezfjulian.com. I'm super lucky to live in the same city as Julián, and we met through our mutual pal and closing reader this evening, Ben Niespodziany, and I was immediately drawn to Julián's wonderful, relatable words and his really brilliant use of humor. His work is at once nostalgic and modern, and I know that Harry Dean Stanton would be a huge fan. Please, everyone, join me in welcoming Julián Martinez.
Thank you, Sarah. You're the best. You rock. Yeah, that's amazing praise. I just watched Inland Empire the other night. That was so freaky. He rocked in that. So yeah, let me read y'all some of these pieces. I'm coming to you live from the passenger seat of a car in a parking garage, which was not expected, but here we go. This piece is called WD-40. And it goes like this. It's partially, we were just talking about Ben. It's partially inspired by some of his work because the first line kind of ran through my head and I was like, it's kind of like a Ben piece, and then I kind of went from there. WD-40. The key was having a harder and harder time with the lock. The lock was having a harder and harder time with the door. The door was having a harder and harder time with the frame. The frame was having a harder and harder time with the wall. The wall was having a harder and harder time with the house. The house was having a harder and harder time with the block. The block was having a harder and harder time with the tenant. The tenant was having a harder and harder time with herself. Herself was having a harder and harder time with her country. Her country was having a harder and harder time with its laborers. Its laborers were having a harder and harder time with their bosses. Their bosses were having a harder and harder time with their bosses. Their bosses were having a harder and harder time with their bosses. Their bosses were having a harder and harder time with their bosses. Their bosses were having a harder and harder time with their spouses changing the locks. This next piece I'm gonna read is called Boss World, and it's about it references throughout the work of Bruce Springsteen. Boss World. The Bruce Springsteen themed amusement park was a bust. Their big attraction, a whitewater rafting ride called The River, was closed due to a water shortage or on account of the economy, were some theories I overheard. I spent my allowance on carnival games to earn enough tickets for the Ghost of Tom Joad Stuffy you said was cute, but the Hungry Heart machine I fed them into gave me Atlantic City bus tickets instead of my receipt. When I got to the help desk, the staff had all gone on break, a paper sign telling us to see the Springsteen impersonator and his band perform on the boardwalk all the way across the park. Your dad let us ride the tunnel of love together, where I had dreamt of being alone with you and asking if I could kiss you, but the ride was really fast and jerky, gold lights flickering in the dark, and over the guitars and drum machines, I heard you nauseously say, "You look just like my dad," which I don't think is true, but in the tunnel of love, you looked kind of like my dad too. Um, this next piece is called Cartoons. Yeah, cartoons. The rental car the insurance company gave me after the accident was great. Wireless Bluetooth speakers, heated seats. What was different was that the car horn wasn't a one note beat. It went, I'll say, I'll say, I'll say, like foghorn leghorn. I'd never felt more in charge of the roads. It gave me the guts to ask out one of my coworkers, a quiet girl with big, loud hair, loud glasses, loud laugh. She wore this Tweety Bird denim jacket and used a Roadrunner mouse pad at her desk. We started carpooling, then I was staying at her apartment. Every major and minor Looney Tunes character had a poster on one of her bedroom walls. It was freaky that they watched us, but she was really into it, so I was too. One time I actually let her finger my hole so deep I inadvertently did a Mel Blanc scream. She said it was the hottest thing she'd ever heard. I'd say it kept our relationship alive for 5 more weeks. By then, I'd returned the rental. After my hunk of junk came back, the insurance company sent a letter apologizing for the unusually defective car horn. As she stepped into my passenger seat on mornings we both worked, I'd yell, I'll say, I'll say, I'll say. And she'd giggle and kiss me, but still broke up with me standing outside with a box of my clothes in the night rain like a movie. There was nothing I could have done better, she told me in her kitchen as I spaced out on a poster of Wile E. Coyote hovering off the edge of a cliff staring back at me. She needed time to figure herself out. We were just taking a break. A commercial break, I said without thinking, but that just made her burst into tears. I realized we'd never watched the cartoons together, only talked about them like gospel. I didn't even know Looney Tunes like that. I couldn't believe this was what was on my mind. I murmured about having never taken her seriously, and she said, no, that's what I like about you the most. And Wile E. Coyote looked at me like, dude, you fucking asshole. And Roadrunner had this big smile like, see ya at work tomorrow. Um, Yeah, Mel Blanc, a fictionalized version of Mel Blanc, is a character in a novel I started working on a few weeks ago, but this has nothing to do with that. But I wrote this pretty quickly prior to that, so I think that was the idea kind of gestating. Yeah, thanks to Sarah, thanks to y'all. I got a couple more for you. This piece is called Cleo. Her jeweled hands passed over the crystal ball like ocean waves, serene yet brutal. She told me exactly how I'm supposed to die, an infection in my right leg after a fall from a house's front stairs. At one point, I asked her how she could be Miss Cleo when the Miss Cleo from TV had passed away. She froze, pointer finger tickling my palm's heartline, candlelight painting the maroon of her nails a deep shade, and took a breath of the Nag Champa basement air. She exhaled with a smile, and dropping her Caribbean accent, she said, it's a persona owned by the company I work for, my dear. I thought I'd fallen for a scam, but she proceeded to lay my life open like the tarot cards she had me shuffle. She knew me better than anyone ever had, every embarrassing habit, every good thing about me. She said I would soon go through tough financial times. This was a couple weeks ago, and yesterday my boss called me into his office and told me I was being laid off. Miss Cleo said I'd be falling in love sooner rather than later, which I found hard to believe until the memory of her bright brown eyes and silky fingertips kept me up all night. I came back for another visit this morning, but the neon sign in the house's window was gone. I called her company's 24-hour hotline a dozen times, but it was never her. The ladies' Caribbean accents sounding forced coming from their voices. They all said they were Miss Cleo. I know the real Miss Cleo is out there. Not the real Miss Cleo, but my Miss Cleo. I love her. I need her. I don't care how I die anymore. I need her to tell me how I'm supposed to live. This piece is called Apocalyptic Date Idea number 126. It's the series of pieces I was writing for a while where I would basically take images I found online, memes, and imagine them as love poems where I placed my beloved and I within the meme. So this is called Apocalyptic Date Idea number 126. What if we kissed in the McDonald's drive-thru when it snowed? All the bushes looking like the flurry machine exploded, but it was okay. It was costless. Money didn't exist. We were in a post-apocalypse with a quarter tank of gas and empty bellies and trembling lips, and you and I called hello so many times it seemed like language didn't exist anymore. It used to. We could tell by the black box with red text flashing, please order here, next to the LED menu someone had to be generating electricity for. If not, then we die as the warmth waned in our arms with only an hour or so left. I don't know. I've never died before. I've tasted juicy perfection which I hear is known as a little death. And that was what living was like right before the internet and the power and the money disappeared. Every day, a little death. And just as restless as in those days, we shouted at the walls of brutalist technicolor, then turned and pressed the hunger held in each other's lips together, just like before, as if nothing had ever happened. A voice that sounded like cigarette ash sighed, "Good evening, can I take your order?" This is a very short piece. I am in a parking lot waiting to go to a Bulls game, so I'm gonna end with a couple Bulls pieces because I love Chicago over everything. This is called Chicago Love Couplet. Bulls game. Our work gave us 2 seats in the club level. We crushed the Wizards, ate deep dish, and split a jumbo pretzel. That's the Chicago Love Couplet. And this is my last piece. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate you. Hit me up online. Say hi. This is called Apocalyptic Date Idea number 17. What if we kissed in the governor of North Dakota's office behind the mural of Phil Jackson? This is a real thing. In the mural, in the office of the governor of North Dakota, there is a large mural of former Bulls coach Phil Jackson. It's really corny. It's really crappy. It's also really, really, really fucking cool. What if we kissed in the governor of North Dakota's office behind the mural of Phil Jackson? 5 eras of Phil smiling down upon us. Gray-haired, sacred hoops Phil in the center, mellow and resolute in his gray suit like God, though I'm sure he'd resent that comparison. Scoffing while cleaning his 13 championship rings, chuckling, cracking his knuckles. Let's kiss with our hands at our hips like Phil, pushing our blazers back and showing our suspenders and belt buckles. Kiss me like it's game 6 and the Bulls are the best on the paint again. Chicago's red neon heart may crumble into the underworld, but all that matters is how effortlessly we slide as one. Kiss me by the water cooler, so Dennis Rodman freaky that the governor's secretary can say nothing. Kiss me wet and sloppy. The confetti's coming down. Let's bathe each other in Gatorade. Be banned from North Dakota and get a hero's homecoming in Chicago. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you so much, everyone. You heard the fantastic words of Julián Martinez. That was absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for joining in. I really appreciate it. Everyone, please check out This place is covered head to toe in shit from Ghost City Press. And you can visit Julian's website at martinezfjulian.com. Thank you so much, my friend. That was aces. Wonderful, amazing. Y'all, I feel so inspired. I feel so good. I'm so thrilled to introduce our next amazing writer. Our next writer is Joaquin Fernandez. Joaquin Fernandez is a writer, editor, photographer, and recovering filmmaker, perpetually tinkering with his first novel. His work has been nominated for the Pushcart Prize, Best Small Fictions, Best of the Net, and he has been featured in the Wigleaf Top 50. You can find him at joaquinfernandezjr.wixsite.com. I found Joaquin's writing on Instagram, and I was really immediately drawn into his wonderful perspective and fantastic memes. Highly recommend you following him, checking those out. Please, everyone, join me in welcoming Joaquin Fernandez.
Hey, everyone. So this is from this is an older piece. It's from a book called Aftermath, from Radix Media. I'll drop it in the chat once I'm done. This is a beginner's guide to goodbye sex. The series of text messages you receive when read all at once will break your heart. This is why you must read them constantly. This is why you must steal away moments from your day and sneak furtive, hungry glances to your phone at your desk while your coworkers mill about and pretend not to notice. You will not make it easy for them. You will drink too much because you're a cliche and because your friends have missed you while you were eating and going for walks and making love in the afternoon. Your friends will be there for you and you will feel bad and you will buy the next round. Good for you. You will wake alone in the bed you shared and your head will scream and throb. Your phone will offer no news from her, and as the days pass, you will have less and less of an opinion about this. That Sunday morning, her hair was up, and her shorts were short, and she smelled like rain and fake cinnamon. She came up behind you, and her smooth and flawless thighs rubbed pleasant and clawing against her own ridiculous hairy chicken legs, while you made stuffed French toast. She wanted to tell you something, and you had no idea that it was over. For 2 months, her every movement was an apology you could never accept. The apartment you shared was a long first date, awkward and stale, a winter where no one spoke about the weather. You made love like a romance novel, begging her with your body not to. She apologized with you in her mouth, hot and hungry and holding back tears. You reached for her like a child afraid to speak, while suppers burned and tea kettles whistled and laundry hid wet in beeping machines. When her mother arrived, she did the crying for you both. She cried while you packed and cleaned and loaded the U-Haul. She cried at dinner with her daughter's friends from work, and the girls from yoga apologizing and laughing over tiramisu and fried ice cream. She cried in her sleep, almost too quiet to hear. The last time you touch her will feel remarkably like the first. She will be drunk and smiling and full of love for you when she steps out of her dress. You will forget she is leaving because you can still hold her face in her hands. You will forget she is leaving because her lips are soft and wet and inviting. You will forget she is leaving because you are drunk and smiling and full of love for her. You will have impulses. You will want to yell. You will want to beg. Do these things. You will want to tie her to the bed. You will want to kiss and worship every inch of her. Do these things too. Do not cry when you enter her. Do not show anger when you bite her neck. Be tender when you hold her down. Be sweet when you turn her over. Remember every second of her. Catalog every sound she makes. Commit to memory the flavor of her breast and her thigh and her kiss while it lingers on you. Live a lifetime in these final moments. Rally your strength. Keep your focus. Try not to cry too much. When she leaves with her mother for Iowa, you will deflate with exhaustion and relief. You will have been a muscle clenched for months, your blood too tense to circulate. You will laugh and feel horrible. You will smile and it will hurt, and you will be happy for both. You will order takeout from that place around the corner that she always hated. You will eat too much and love it and be disgusted. By the end of the night, she'll have left the state. By tomorrow, she will be at her parents' house. In 2 weeks, she will be Thailand's girlfriend. She will haunt you. She will stalk you without mercy in the murky bog between sleep and wake. She will keep you hard and alone, and you will hate her for it. She will be just around the corner and half a world away. She will live in your head as a despot and a minx. Your days will be thick and gray with her ghost. Your fantasies will be hot and sweet. You will blame her for things she has never done. You will contemplate a grand gesture. You will blame her for all the things that you have never said. You will reach for her in the night, and you will be too late. You will find excuses to avoid speaking to her. You will not fight to accept them. You will find photos on her Facebook and Instagram. You will find her smiling and drinking and happy without you. And doesn't she look so tan and happy and beautiful on that beach? You will find photos of the handsome and shirtless and happy Australian teacher that she's just friends with. You will think that he's also handsome. You will go to a bar. You will go to another bar. You will yell and embarrass yourself. You will sulk and withdraw. You will be hurt and unpredictable and aloof. You will grow gaunt and tousled with hungry eyes. Good for you. When you get to the party, you will be grave and funny and comfortable around women that you have no interest in. Your anger will be mistaken for charisma. Your indifference will be mistaken for confidence. You will inhale whiskey and exhale cigarette smoke. When the girl at the party asks for a light, she will be clever and bleak. Her features will be soft and her voice will be severe. She will see right through you. You will want to lay with her on a bed of nails. The bed in your apartment will have to do. The girl from the party is not sweet. She does not hesitate to kiss. She does not wait for your hands before hers explore your body. She does not notice your meekness and shock as her clothes rumble at the foot of your bed. She engulfs you in a black fire of skin and tattoos as the night goes sharp and wet. That night is teeth and nails and kisses, and there are no regrets there. There are no girlfriends there. There are no Australian teachers or mothers or friends from yoga there. Good for you. In that moment, you forget so very many things. You forget the party. You forget the girl's name lying next to you. You forget that you're alone when there's someone else in your room. You forget you were ever angry through the fog of your hangover. You stand and stir and stumble forth and see the world in shifting, painful clarity. You wander around the apartment shambling steps, thirsting and hungry and head splitting. You put the kettle on and linger in the hall while the coffee brews. Something inside you stirs. You broke something and the world didn't end. You broke something and it felt good. The girl from the party wakes and stretches, and when you pull back the sheets on her, you will forget to feel guilty. When her skin welcomes you back, it'll feel like a soft goodbye. And when the tea kettle screeches, you will have better things to do. Good for you. Uh, Thanks so much. Yeah, I haven't done a Zoom reading in so long, so it's so nice to see so many people. I will drop that the link for that in the chat. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Joaquin. That was amazing. Everyone, please investigate the amazing work of Joaquin Fernandez. You can find him at joaquinfernandezjr.wixsite.com. Awesome. Fucking beautiful, man. Appreciate it. Whew. I am feeling so inspired, y'all. Thank you. Let's keep this wonderful feeling going. Our next incredible writer this evening is Kristin Garth. I'm really privileged to call Kristin a friend, and I'm thrilled to be hosting here this evening. I first met Kristin probably around 2018 when I discovered one of her amazing sonnets on the Twitters. But I'm continually floored by her ability to make poetry and sonnets so modern, accessible, and nuanced. She really welcomes the reader into her pink plastic world. Kristin Garth is a woman childish pushcart Riesling nominated sonneteer and a Best of the Net finalist, the author of the forthcoming poetic almanac of horticulture, Zenobia, Pink Plastic Press 2025, and 28 more books of poetry and prose. You can find her at kristingarth.com. Everyone, please join me in welcoming Kristin Garth.
Okay, I am so nervous, but anyway. The first poem I'm going to read is Zenobia, because it's not a new poem, but it's one that inspired the title of my collection that I'm putting together that may not even come out this year, because it's going to be an almanac of poetry. So it's going to be very big, and I don't think I'll finish it this year, but it's going to keep me alive through the Trump presidency. So, like maybe it's a long-term project. We all need those at times, And so anyway, I've always been obsessed about Puritans, and living in Pensacola, living in the Deep South, Bible Belt, and having been a topless dancer, it's not a things that go together. So anyway, here's Zenobia. A wedding which you waited for a year, her innocence reward for yours so new. A decade since your demon disappeared. Depravity in dreams you still review. The nighted dress of white reveals a thigh. With burned-in bud, you water with your tears. A teenage lark, so casual her lie. A honey cup you suckled at for years. Zenobia, their harlots marked with flame. A house that haunts your head each night you sleep. You drank their naked nectar, marked with shame. This face once made you smile, now makes you weep. Your fingers trace a story petals tell. Your angel bears the bell-shaped mark of hell. And the rest of the poems I'm going to read are sonnets, are just little sonnets, and then I have one that's going to be like 4 sonnets in a row. Anyway, but this next one is called Dirty Girl. A bath can be a punishment, a rite of lavender, peppermint, fragrant water you must descend into with care. Your snow-white thighs goosebump from frigid air. Daughter becomes a dirty word, another secret epithet that when overheard will sound innocuous to those not inured, wet with shame, sex kitten he might have drowned but never could have tamed, who wears his collar and accepts his blame, odoriferous in ways you cannot explain, nor the dollars a pink pocketbook can barely contain. Skin he scours for hours, then kisses to sleep, but the dirty parts of you are not skin deep. And the next one's called Vines. Intimacy is a chokehold that binds her in place, weakens the limbs, steals the sunlight the neighbors embrace. Stretched to find, but she never knew. Always overrun until it feels as if attachment requires her gasping and blue. Upon the brink of destruction, when the extrication transpires, laborers of unrequited love untangle tediously the tendrils of emotional vampires that almost vanquished an object without the will to ever be free, who feels like a ghost without the synergy she always finds in strangulation. She welcomes more vines. And this poem called Professional, I wrote recently on my Substack. It's mostly where I publish these days, because I just like the ability to just put things out there. And, when I'm in the mood or need, especially in the world the way it is right now, I'm in the need a lot. So anyway, this is 4 Shakespearean sonnets in a row called Professional. Fictional strippers have little appeal when you have suffered to be naked for 5 years in Florida for real, into Bible Belt towns where they take inventory of your pubic hair if you want to be allowed to take off your pink underwear for Puritans. Griff one night in Alabama, a shortened tour, after exfoliating nipples of the clear glitter polish cover some hometown dancer applies thoroughly over the areola, blows on them to dry before you shake pigtails on main stage, where the thousands you make will not assuage the suffering at 3 a.m. when you scour pale peachy skin, solemnly swear you'll never strip in Alabama again. Humiliations you suffered being there, the topless schoolgirl, never were you prepared. From the moment you applied, side-eyed at the police station and blushing, stated into a camera for your adult entertainer ID, a doe-eyed worshiper of female nudity who wanted to become deified, another saint of impudicity. But nothing is ever as it appears to be. In any place with stages, the tears require a dressing room for monitoring the tampon strings and existential doom, and powdering the pink of shame that stings surreptitiously. lemon drop shots consumed before the VIP table dances for a flight instructor, boyfriends, friends, knowing each one more, accelerate the date that this relationship ends. How's it going working only weekends with ample time for reading and gardening, minus some in court testifying against stalking crimes, once or twice while jurors judge you scum for the vice of nakedness and living alone with what's used against you, decided to own and display for pay inside the safest place you can get hired. Didn't take pole dancing class before or after you retired. Distaste for stripper fiction and housewife cosplay. Ask yourself, am I a hypocrite for feeling this way? A pair of platform stilettos graced your shelf before you walked into the club that day, and as instructed, took your top off on a neon-lit triangular side stage. Became professional when the first man slid cash into your panties, lust and rage in his eyes, a look familiar in a windowless cage, to prey who survived a life not on a page. And the next one is called Lolita is a Corpse. You have more dead friends than living, and it is only getting worse. The first man who tried to woo you spent his evening shifts collecting bodies in a hearse, but knew a lot about forensics of the Lincoln Douglas kind, enough to be entrusted with suburban high school minds, when yours had been vivisected, maladjusted, inside your first big girl bed. Did he smell the rot when he leaned in close against your head to whisper of the passengers touched before they decomposed, confessing his dominion over what is dead until he found a corpse he could take to bed? And the last one I'm going to read, I just published yesterday, I think, on my Substack, Woman Childishness, and it's called Body Count. Refuse to keep a body count because I am no serial killer, soldier, statistician. I never believed sex was murder, and my intuition as an older Gen X slut-shamed girl is that Puritans are born into this world every day, and old epithets are countermanded and now used only ironically. They don't want to be canceled for misogyny, so appropriate a language of homicide. I do not know how many I gave pleasure to, but nobody died. Love and lust should not be discussed in terms of war. Sex is a playground game. I'm not keeping score. All right, thank you.
That was incredible. Thank you so much, Kristin. Everyone, you just heard the incredible, it's an amazing work of Kristin Garth. Please check her out at kristingarth.com. Really, thank you for sharing. That was just so fierce. And I love having your poems pop up in my email. Everyone check out that Substack, y'all. Phenomenal. Wow, what a night this has been. I'm having the best time, and I'm so thrilled to introduce our final reader of the evening. Closing out this fabulous show is the wonderful Ben Niespodziany. Benjamin Niespodziany is a Chicago-based writer whose work has appeared in Fence, Puerto del Sol, Booth, Salt Hill, Six Finch, and elsewhere. His debut collection of poetry, No Farther Than the End of the Street, was released through OK Donkey Press. His novella, Cardboard Clouds, is out with X-Ray. Ben is also the editor-in-chief of the brand new Piżama Press, an independent press dedicated to showcasing and uplifting the voices of the strange, uncanny, the absurd, and the surreal. Find Ben at Neon Pajamas and neonpajamas.com. If you're close to Chicago, also, Ben has a really wonderful reading series called Neon Night Mic, where he hosts and curates brilliant writers from around Chicago and the Midwest at the Whistler. His dreamy work really inspires me immensely, and I'm thrilled to host him this evening. Please, everyone, join me in welcoming Benjamin Niespodziany.
Thank you so much, Sarah. This is wonderful. It's been great hearing everyone read, and it's cool to close this out for the night. Yeah, and thanks to Sarah for reading at Neon Night Mike, and Nate also reading in the past, and then Danica will be at the March one, so super cool to see everyone in the chat. The first one that I'll be reading tonight is called About the Author, and it is inspired by a series by Kikaraki Kawaguchi, who's going to be the first author that I'll be releasing a book with my press. So I'll put the link in here with some shameless self-promo. And he has a series throughout the book called About the Author. They're all fake bios full of lies and mistruths. So I tried to use that as kind of my own writing prompt. So I'll start us off with About the Author. Benjamin Niespodziany's body of work is a lobby of dirt, a hallway for cloud gazing, a raisin telling the sand it's a plum. His hum has been classified as a statement on sauce. His saliva has been published in Skunk Tongue Review, Tulip Spit, and less than a few others. He's won nothing and never will. If you kill him, the wind won't notice, and neither will his therapist, Terrence the Ghost. The recipient of a 2022 shoe shine, Niespodziany splits his time between eating seasons and sleeping alone. If you know him well enough to pronounce his last name correctly, no one will believe you, not even him. His kids do not exist, and his piss, how it glows. So that'll get us started. I meant to mention that all the stuff that I'm reading tonight is all very new. Everything's been written since January 1st. So I had a nice little college visit Zoom reading this morning, and I kind of did like my best of or the greatest hits. And tonight is nothing but new shit. So it's kind of cool to have that contrast. New shit, exactly. This one's called Dead End. It's very short. My skull is a copper aquarium. In it, there lives a child like me, only blue, like me, only dewdropped and godless and dead. In the end of the story, the warlord walks home, his mother calling him over and over through the loudspeaker, but never does he reply. And this one is called Yesterday's Paper. The last one featured a warlord, and this one also features a warlord. I have a lot of billionaires dying and CEOs being killed and warlords being exterminated throughout my poems, so kind of a through line for the current times. Yesterday's paper. Yesterday's paper explained things I didn't want to read. A knife in a psych ward, a warlord stepping on skulls. When I visited the casino later that night, all of the slots were wrapped in caution tape. One old woman was being pinned to the ground while another, even older woman was being escorted out. I didn't have any questions. I saw all I needed to see. This one's called Skeleton Movie. I saw the new skeleton, werewolf, vampire, zombie movie everyone was talking about. At the very same time, a bomb was dropped many miles away and killed a family of 4, one mother and her 3 little boys. I try to avoid talking about things like this. The movie was mediocre. The world it existed in was hell. And this one is called Dream. The dream delivery poet, Matthias Valina, who most of you probably know, he sent a poetry packet of 100 dream prompts that I've kind of been looking at every once in a while whenever I have some writer's block or just hit a brick wall. It's all these very, very strange writing prompts. He also shares them on his Instagram and socials. Yeah, he's a legend. Dream, after Matthias. I tried to swallow the horse, but the horse swallowed me. When it spit me up, we were years in the past, decades even. I waited for something new to happen, but we kept going back in time. I hated it. The horse looked stunned. It shoved me back into its mouth to reverse this curse, and when it spit me out, you guessed it, we were thrown into the unknown future. Days after when all of this initially began. No one had been looking for me, but many had been searching for the horse. They loved him. They pointed fingers at me. I tried to run, but could not run. I tried to jump, but could not jump. I crawled back inside the horse and waited for the world to quiet. The cliff was unforgiving. We did not go that way. And yeah, the line, I tried to run, but could not run. I feel like everyone's had that dream where you're trying to run and it's like slow motion. It's a horrible nightmare. Exactly, Moira. Real nightmare shit. Okay, I have 2 more. This next one is after Sasha Fletcher, who has a really beautiful novella with Big Lux Books, which I would highly recommend. This one is called I Asked You. I asked you, who's that outside of our window? Men in suits, women in suits, humans in suits. I was cleaning the ceiling. You were turning the curtains. You're in big trouble, you said, that's who. I asked you, what are you talking about? A crowd was forming around the important suits. Your mouth was falling apart. My heart felt like it was made of string. The politicians outside of our window were screaming. They knocked on our door louder than a storm. Who have they come for? I asked. Who do you think? He replied. I did not answer the door. I continued cleaning the ceiling. I turned back the curtains you'd turned. You went missing. I kissed your quiet goodbye. And this last one involves, I think there's a mention of a king and a CEO. So keeping that through line of chaotic, just brain rot, doom scrolling that I've been experiencing these last couple months. This one's called Dawn O'Clock, and it's inspired by Amelia Gray's prose poem or microfiction. I don't really know what it's called. 1:16 p.m. And it's full of nothing but commands. So I tried to riff off of that. Walk in circles until you need to sit. Call your townhouse neighbor and ask to borrow their dog. Ponder what it means to breathe backwards. Split your time by rhyming orange with porridge, with Cornish, with spore. Count to 4 for 1 million minutes. Extend your unclean hand when you see a king or a CEO. Throw an elbow to their largest bodyguard or whoever is in charge of keeping them alive. Do not cry when they pin you down and question you and all of the weapons kept nestled in your bag. Understand you are foolish for following these orders. Understand you should have never listened to me at all. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much, everyone. You just heard the amazing words of Benjamin Niespodziany. Again, apologies for the interruption, but thank you for bringing it back to that glorious, dreamy space. I really appreciate you, friend. Wow, y'all, this has just been a truly fantastic evening. Thank you very, very much to the remarkable readers for sharing their time, their energy, and their words with me and everyone here and everyone who will watch this recording. It's been such a joy. And again, because I know you totally loved what you heard tonight, please, everyone, consider supporting these phenomenal writers, purchase their books, attend their live readings, subscribe to their Substacks, follow and share their work on social media. I'm going to be posting everyone's website and book information in the description of this video as well. And if you're interested in reading some of your work at a future episode of Words Friends, please feel free to reach out to me. Again, I'm Sara Matson. I'm on Instagram at Skeletor's Mom, because I never thought I'd use it professionally. And on bluesky, saramatson.bsky.social. I would love to close out this evening with a very, very brief excerpt of the poem Principles by Danez Smith from their most recent book, Bluff. Let us not be scared of the work because it's hard. Let us move the mountain because the mountain must move. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you very much, and good night.